Well, how are we ever going to get to the bottom of the IRS scandal? First, Lois Lerner refuses to testify. The House votes to hold her in contempt. And now, House Republicans questioning the credibility of the IRS commissioner. Oversight Committee Chair Issa even offering John Koskinen a do-over on his testimony. So will we ever get any answers? Joining us now, our political panel, the Washington Examiner's Susan Ferrecchio, ABC News political director Rick Klein, and the Wall Street Journal editorial board's Mary Kissel. All right, Mary, I'm going to start with you on this one. The do-over. How rare is the do-over? I mean, he directly contradicted Lois Lerner. For Issa to say, you may want to rethink that and take another approach.
Yeah,
what does that tell you?
I think it is a do-over, but ultimately it's unclear just how much the House can do to get to the bottom of this scandal. I think ultimately, Andrea, the only way we're going to get to the bottom of this is through the judicial branch, because the executive branch, the president, is hearing no evil, seeing no evil, stonewalling Congress. The Republicans don't control both houses, and now we've learned that we have two judges, very serious people in the D.C. district, who are going to see if they will order forensic investigators to go into the IRS and force them to disclose these emails, or at least do the searches that the IRS was supposed to do.
Susan, do you agree with that? I mean, it seems like the last backstop is, as Mary mentioned, the courts.
Oh, I think the court cases this week are going to be really pivotal, particularly the True the Vote case, because that really was at the heart of the whole targeting issue. True the Vote, which was founded by Catherine Engelbrecht. She's a small business owner who says just a few months after she applied for tax-exempt status, she was targeted by multiple agencies within the federal government for audits, inquiries. She had OSHA breathing down her back, the ATF, federal domestic terrorism inquiries. I mean, an unbelievable array of things were happening to her. And it suggests coordination. And the years that those happened were the very years that those emails are missing. So that's why I think it's really pivotal that they're requesting this outsider to come in and see if, in fact, there's no way to retrieve this stuff. We know the IRS says, hey, we can't get this back. But on this show and on other shows, we've heard experts come in and say it's impossible that these emails are really gone forever. So it's going to be really interesting to see what this judge decides.
And Rick, I think a lot of people are wondering, so what's the fallout from this? I mean, if the courts are the last backstop, is anybody going to go to jail? Is anybody going to be held accountable? Do you think that someone will be held accountable through these court hearings?
This may be the last best shot, and you do have these two different hearings looking at why didn't you know about the missing emails and can you go find the missing emails. At a certain point, I think my colleagues here are right. You reach a wall in terms of what you can do from the investigation. And you're based on the documents you get, the testimony you get. It's going to take some kind of an outside force. We do know the Justice Department has said they're looking at this. Now, what that means and whether Attorney General Holder is willing to do anything or ready to do anything about it is another story. We've heard the president's take on this as a quote-unquote phony scandal. So we'll see if that goes anywhere. I think, though, it's going to take, more than likely, it's going to take some kind of an outside force, a judge's ruling, or some kind of a piece of testimony or a piece of evidence we haven't seen yet to move that ball along and get to that next stage.
You know, Rick and Susan, I only have about a minute left, but you two cover Washington, D.C. intently. How much of an appetite do you think Republicans have to pursue this, and will it be an issue in the midterm elections? First to you, Rick, and then Susan.
I think this is something that has Republicans fired up, even more so in the last couple of weeks when they learned about the missing emails. Paul Ryan, I think his performance and his questioning of the IRS commissioner, I think, was an important moment in terms of bringing this back into the consciousness, and I do think it'll be an issue, certainly to get the base out of Republicans who are frustrated and, as Karl Rove says, wants to check on the president.
Susan?
Well, I agree with that. I think if you asked me this a few weeks ago, I'd say, well, I'm not sure how far this will go, but the missing emails, and also if you just look at a public perception, people care about this. This is the IRS. This isn't some unknown agency that doesn't really affect anyone's lives directly. People deal with the IRS every year when they file their taxes, and there's a sense of outrage that the public has. The Republicans are keenly aware of this, and I think they're going to continue to push on this issue until they really feel like no one cares about it anymore. I don't think that's going to happen.
And very quickly, before I go, Mary, will we ever see Lois Lerner back in court?
I think you might, but it's also worth noting this is why Democrats want to talk about the war on women, because they don't want to talk about scandals like the IRS.
Yeah, that is for sure. This is, I think, really hitting home with a lot of folks. Panel, thanks so much. Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.
Thank you.